Recently, it was announced that the XFL lost $60 million in the 2023 season, the first season of the third rendition of the XFL. They also stated that they expected to be cash flow positive by 2027. With these reports, it got us thinking, how is this achievable? What is the future of the XFL? We will go over several scenarios on how this can occur, or maybe other scenarios that could occur that aren't planned. Hey you, yes you, are you one of the 99% of viewers that are not subscribed to our channel? If so, scroll down and hit the subscribe button. When you're down there, be sure to also like this video. Now let's get back to this video. The first, investors in the XFL. Last summer, it was announced that the XFL was seeking investors to own between 35 to 45%, and they were looking to raise $125 million in the equity financing. One of the current owners, Redbird Capital, was also prepared to fund 100% of the equity needed. There's multiple reasons why they would be looking for additional investors. Obviously, the main reason, or one of the main reasons, would be to get more money. The other reason is to reduce risk. Startups incur huge risk. There's a huge risk of failing, of losing money, and of not being successful. It's widely known that new sports leagues usually fail or usually lose a lot of money up front. By selling some equity and getting money, you're reducing said risk to different parties. But why would they want $125 million? Well, to invest into the XFL. The current owners of the XFL, led by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, do have a lot of capital or are well funded, but it's always nice to basically self-invest. The XFL would be selling some of its stake to basically invest in itself, which leads to the next scenario of the future of the XFL, which would be expansion. Yes, even though the XFL lost $60 million, they're also already looking for expansion. And it's also been reported that they've been eyeing expansion possibly as soon as the 2025 season, which would be the third season of the new rendition of the XFL. The criteria that's been assumed would be no major competition from the USFL, or the United States Football League, which is also another spring football league that started recently, or the CFL, which is the Canadian Football League. You can probably also assume that they wouldn't be looking at locations that NFL teams have unless it's major markets, such as like Chicago, LA, New York, etc. So it'd be a lot of mid-size locations that aren't serviced. We will be going over XFL expansion in a different video, so make sure you subscribe to get notified when that video does come out. Thirdly would be selling franchises. This option probably won't occur until later on in the future when the XFL is more established and has more teams. But there's always a possibility the XFL can sell franchises. The reason why you don't want to do it, or the reason why they probably don't want to do it up front as the league is growing, is it can add some quality concern and assurance issues. Well, what does that mean? It could mean the owners of these new teams or of the current teams that would buy the franchises, they might go bankrupt, they might have bad press, they might want to do something one way, not the other. How do you set it up? Is it going to be like the NFL where these owners get to vote on things and have power? Basically, it can limit and potentially disturb the plan of the future. Right now, they're looking at building a foundation and growing from there. The next two options, or really next three, involve different leagues. The first option would be the XFL and the USFL, as mentioned earlier, the United States Football League, to merge or to combine, or for one to buy out the other. The first rendition of the USFL happened in the 80s. One of the notable owners was President Donald Trump, and it got re-emerged just recently over the past few years. It is currently also a spring league, just like the XFL, and has support and is owned by Fox, and has media rights to Fox and NBC. On the flip side, the XFL has media rights with ESPN, which includes ABC and ESPN+. By merging the two leagues or having some kind of buyout, you not only enhance your media rights and your media coverage, you monopolize the spring league season. Additionally, it probably also lowers some costs. It would also increase revenue. By being able to offer multiple different markets, you'd be able to increase your media revenue, plus also revenue with your sponsors. Another plus to merging is the fact that the more teams you have, or the more games you have over a weekend or whenever you play, you get to know or have more normalcy on when the playing time of the games are. because these leagues are so new, you don't really have the familiarity and normalcy on when the games are played and what times and dates. With the NFL, for instance, we know that they play on Thursdays, Sundays, and Mondays. The exceptions might be during holidays or special occasions like that, or Saturdays during playoffs or maybe in December. With the XFL and USFL, you have the issue of, are they playing on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Thursday? What times are they playing? And then you also have the issue of there's so few teams. If I don't like the matchup, I'm not going to watch it. With merging or creating a bigger league, there's the flexibility of having games on at specific times every single week, specific days every single week. Going to the next scenario is another merger with the Canadian Football League or the CFL. There was talks in the past that the CFL and the XFL would merge right off the bat, but those talks broke down relatively quickly. The Canadian government has been outspoken in the past to having NFL invade Canada with their teams. A video on that will be posted later on this channel as well, on why that occurred and why that's happening, and why there isn't any NFL teams in Canada at the moment. In short, it's to protect the CFL. If the CFL and the XFL were to merge, it could break that mold, thus allowing the NFL teams to potentially move into Canada. Obviously, if the XFL and CFL were to merge, the XFL would have a hand up on the NFL as being in that market, potentially blocking the NFL out of said market. Again, just like with the USFL, you have the pros of having a bigger league, having both spring leagues. The CFL is more towards the summer, but in that same scenario, summer-spring league, making it bigger, making costs lower, making revenues larger. There's a lot of pros to making a bigger league. The next merger scenario or type scenario be the NFL buying out or merging with the XFL. It wouldn't really be a merger. It would probably be more of a buyout or some kind of partnership with the NFL, where the XFL would kind of become a minor league or stepping stone league to the NFL. In some cases, it could act like a G League or a minor league where maybe these players don't even go to the NCAA. They just go straight to the XFL. And after playing so many years or so many seasons with the XFL, you can get promoted to the NFL. The NFL and the XFL already have a minor partnership, with the XFL testing some rules out for the NFL and working with the NFL to provide support for players from a development standpoint and for some veteran players to get roster spots. So there's already a partnership there, and that's probably going to grow as the future goes on. But what if the NFL were to potentially make a buyout offer or a minor league for the XFL? That could be interesting. And even if it's not even a buyout, what if it's just further partnerships, which would enhance the XFL and make it grow? And then the last scenario is the XFL investing or growing their media personalities and their shows. Kind of going back to earlier of what was stated, the XFL currently doesn't have the know of what the schedules are, when they're playing, who's playing, what time they're playing, what date they're playing, when does their season start, when does their season end. There's not that familiarity with the league, right? And as time goes on, that should be more well known. The XFL should be working with more shows, podcasts, etc. to make sure that information is being spread quickly, correctly, and to their market audience. Prime example would be to work with a Pat McAfee show, whether it be indirectly or directly. Having someone with the XFL going on there on a regular basis would be key, or even having Pat McAfee and his team work for the XFL during the season or around the season would do wonders to providing a fan base to their current fan base. With Pat McAfee recently signing a contract with ESPN and the XFL having media rights with ESPN, it almost seems like a natural fit. The XFL does also have a show with ESPN Plus. Not a lot of people know about that. There's ways where they can push that show to ESPN or other networks within ESPN, potentially ABC. It's been stated and reported previously that ESPN is on board with what XFL is trying to do. So hopefully they can set up some shows or personalities to combine with the XFL and give it more coverage so it can continue to grow, and in turn helping ESPN to grow. Americans obviously have a huge appetite for football, which means the XFL does have the ability to grow and become big, which should only help ESPN. Those aren't all the scenarios that obviously could happen with the XFL. There are probably plenty others that we didn't go through, but those are key ones that could happen and some of them might happen, and multiple of those could become reality and go to fruition. We'd love to hear your thoughts of those scenarios that we mentioned, and maybe some scenarios that we didn't mention. We didn't go in depth with each topic either, or each scenario. As we mentioned with the expansion, we're going to go more in depth with that topic in a different video. We might do more in depth talking points or videos of some of the other topics as well, such as the mergers and media personalities, etc., and more. Again, we'd love to know your thoughts on these potential scenarios and maybe other scenarios. And if you liked and enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe. We thank you for watching.